What makes a house satisfactory? A number of studies have defined residential satisfaction by different and varying aspects. It is a study conducted by Mack in 2015. They assess the level of user satisfaction with house elements in relation to their socio-cultural characteristics. Here, the researcher focused on a sole factor affecting residential satisfaction.
One may also use multiple items to measure satisfaction. Lee and Wu used 14 items to examine residential satisfaction regarding 4 aspects of the residential environment: housing, sanitation, security, and neighborhood. Despite the sizable literature review discussing and assessing the different determinants attributing to the residential satisfaction, the understanding of the central subject is far from complete. Many scholars have concentrated their research preferences on discerning the components alone defining the residential satisfaction, and very few studies have examined the margin in which this affects the latter. Prevalent satisfactory levels of homeowners in Bataan residential areas, inputs for localized housing prototype development. Without the total area of the house, period of since occupancy, type of the building, time construction materials of the outer walls, and tenure status will be conjured and constructed as a descriptive data apropos to the current specifications of the house buildings in the sample. The results and findings of this paper would be salutary to architects, engineers, and future homeowners planning to build a home. They will be provided with prior empirical knowledge and information on what aspect of a house encompasses the satisfaction and comfort to its residents. The study also renders suggestions for useful methods and innovation projects steered for the improvement of the environment in both existing and newly formed residences.
Research questions. This paper will prosecute a scientific inquiry and systematic investigation directed to provide a detailed exposition of the current satisfactory levels of homeowners living in selected residential areas in Bataan, particularly in subdivisions, and the prevalent factors serving as the primary determinants of the above-mentioned variable. Furthermore, this study seeks to provide a substratum for developing a house prototype which may be proposed for local housing inauguration and for delivering arguments, recommendations, and proposals that enable municipal and planning institutions and housing providers to make targeted and tailored decisions.
Specifically, this study seeks to address the following questions. Number 1. How may the residence be described in terms of area in square meters, years of occupancy, house type, construction material, and tenure status? Number 2. How may the residence be described in terms of physical attributes, environmental attributes, economic attributes, public facilities or functional attributes, social and behavioral attributes, maintenance attributes, and overall satisfaction? Which among the factors is relative to residential satisfaction demonstrates prevalence? Number 4. Based upon the results from data gathered, what housing prototype theoretically increases the residential satisfaction of Bataan homeowners?
Hypotheses or assumptions of the study. There is no relatively established factor of residential satisfaction that demonstrate prevalence among other residential attributes.
Data collected were analyzed using descriptive statistic of percentile frequency tables, while differential statistical technique of regression analysis was used to test the hypothetical statement postulated for this study. 5-point Likert scale format ranging from strongly satisfied to strongly satisfied was adopted.
For the inferential analysis, the analytical technique made use of the R-squared value in the regression model in calibrating the variation in the overall satisfaction grounded to the attributes. The regression analysis was used to determine the margin in which the residential parameters affect the overall residential satisfaction. Linear regression, which assumes a linear connection between a dependent variable and an independent variable, is a basic and commonly used type of predictive analysis. It employs a regression line, also known as a best fit line. The linear connection is mathematically defined in equation 1.
Both non-probability sampling techniques, purposive and snowball, were employed in selecting respondents in the study area. The sampling techniques utilized were based on the researcher's convenience, time and financial constraints, ease of questionnaires administration, and total control of the research instrument. A total of 30 respondents participated in the study. The online questionnaire is distributed via Google Form.
Instrument of the study. The variables and questionnaire are adapted from the study inaugurated by Salisu et al. 2019.
The Bataan Provincial Census 2018.
The standardized questionnaire was revised in accordance with the comments and suggestions of our validator in various fields.
Data gathering procedures. The research will take place in the province of Bataan and Sud in the fourth quarter of the academic year 2021-2022, taking into account that the researcher are situated in Bataan. This location was selected to complete this study in timely and most effective manner.
For the statistical tool, the data were then subjected to statistical treatment, basing the correlational nature of the study, the strength of relationship among variables identified using the table of computed values and correlational degrees.
The study examined the general characteristic of residents in Bataan, observing varying and remarkable results, one of which is the copious number of houses made of concrete and bricks rather than lightweight materials of wood and bamboo, propounding the development in the economic and the structural industry in the province.
The results also revealed that one attributing factor out of the 6 predictors best predict the overall residential satisfaction, that is, social or behavioral attributes, with the R-square value of 0.549. This delineates that a unit change or improvement in the level of privacy in house, proximity to place of worship, building setbacks, security level of house, proximity of house to fire station, proximity of house to police station, and proximity of house to hospital will unequivocally bridge overall resident satisfaction with the residences.
The empirical corroboration of the results declares the rejection of the null. As a final point, this study inaugurates the latency of future vantage points for research. Attending government established subdivisions, convening responses from other residential areas, emancipating the restriction of data collection by subdivision exclusively, or raising the sample size for instance.